Okay, this is the intro for the podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Silver Screen Fiends podcast. I'm your host, Sam.
And I'm Blake.
And can you believe it? We're back, baby. We're back again. Ready to deliver pleasure and pain to your ear holes.
Skinamarink.
Oh, you revealed it. Not clickbait. It's the episode about Skinamarink. I'm going to be honest. This film has been quite divisive in the horror community.
It has. Should we talk about what else we've watched first before we dive into it?
Yes, sure. We can. I suppose we can do that. So, real quick side note: this is the premiere of me anywhere being bald. Like I buttered it. I buttered my head before we started.
Yeah, it's very shiny.
Yeah, let's talk about what we've seen recently. What have you seen, Blake?
I have seen quite a lot of movies recently. I finally watched Terrifier 2, and I was a big fan.
Oh,
and I was not a big fan of the first one, so I was surprised at how much I liked the second one.
Yes.
But yeah, I liked it a lot.
I also was not a fan of the first one, so I still have to see the second, but it's streaming free now, right? Or is it not?
I rented it, but I don't know. It might be free somewhere. Oh, okay. It was like very cheap to rent, so I just rented it.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely have to get on that because I definitely heard it was better than the first, and I kind of, one thing though I wish is I know he doesn't speak much in the sequel from what I heard, but like I just want him to be full-blown mime, right? Like
he is in the sequel. I don't think he has any lines.
Oh, so
not that I remember.
So he's not. So is he technically like? Is he still a clown though, or is he?
Yeah.
More of a mime. Yeah, I just want Art the Mime.
Yeah, I don't remember him talking at all, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so it's close enough for me. He's halfway there. Yeah. Okay, Terrifier 2, very nice.
Okay. I saw Plane. That was fun.
Is that with Gerard?
Yeah, it was just like a fun action movie. Nothing crazy. Nothing too, groundbreaking. It's a movie called Plane. It's got a plane. That's all you need.
That's all you were given. That's fine.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. How about you? What have you seen lately?
What have I seen? I watched, I am going to, at some point this week, watch the new Ant-Man, so I decided to actually sit down and watch the first two, because I've only seen like parts of the first one, and I never saw Wasp, so I was like, you know what, like, I want to give them a shot, and I had fun with them. I thought I like that one big ass chase sequence in the second one. I think the action is pretty cool, and some of the humor is very like, it's like, phone in Paul Rudd, but it's still like a good time. I still enjoy them. So hopefully the new one, I've heard the new one is not great, but I've already like eliminated any expectation bar for these movies because they're Marvel movies, like. Yeah,
I'll see the new one eventually, but I'm not in a rush just because the reviews were not great.
Yeah, so but I like the cast, so I'm sure that'll be good enough for me. I also watched, at the suggestion of my father and with my father, American Mary. Have you ever seen this?
No.
So
I feel like I've heard of it.
So it's about this girl in college who she's in med school and she's studying to become a surgeon, and she ends up getting really fucked with in really bad ways. I'll just leave it at that. And then she takes her revenge on her college professor. There's like a couple different subplots going on, but basically she turns into like a body modification surgeon who works like under the table, no pun intended, and she gets involved with all these different crowds, but then there's also a revenge subplot, which is pretty dope. The gore was pretty cool. Like, they showed just enough to keep me interested. And and I think it clocked in at like an hour 40, so perfect length for me. Yeah, I would say it's worth a shot. It was pretty fun. I usually trust my father's judgment on a gore-filled horror movie, so it paid off. It paid off on this. So yeah, American Mary, pretty dang decent. Pretty dang decent. Mary, if you're watching,
Very nice.
I was a fan. Yeah, yeah. So other than that, not too much. I've been catching up on like a lot of TV lately. I'm even watching that reboot of Night Court, which is all right. It's Night Court. Who fucking cares? But anyway, yeah. So
have you watched Last of Us at all?
Yeah. So I did not watch the one that just aired yesterday. But
me neither. I haven't watched.
But I am caught up as of then. But yeah, man, the production on the show is really dope, and I personally haven't played much of the first game, none of the second. So, but from what I hear and what I've seen, a lot of it is like play by play. And I think even like with the deviation, you kind of have to do that with a game that is just about like escaping an infected populace. So, I think it's pretty fucking cool so far. I'm digging it.
I haven't played either game. I have no experience with the games. I'm just watching the show, and I'm loving it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's ba bro. It's fucking dope. It's I think everyone that third episode literally made me cry though.
Yeah,
with
that was
Alpha
a good
Man.
episode.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
yeah. But no, it's cool. If they keep going in this direction, then I'll be happy to see it. I just kind of hope it doesn't go longer than like 2 or 3 seasons.
yeah. I mean, there's only 2 games, so I don't know how long they're gonna go. But so far, pretty good.
Don't fuck up. It's good. Yeah. Right. Let's just dive right into Skinamarink. Now, if you have not heard of this movie, it's not about a haunted ice rink made out of skin, so don't be fooled by the title. Quite frankly, I'm not sure why it's even called that. But so this, like I said earlier, this has been a very divisive film in the horror community because it definitely I'll just say off the bat, I kind of dug it in certain ways. I know you completely hated it, so that's
I have my likes and dislikes that I have listed. So
yeah. So, but yeah, so it's interesting because I don't think the person who made this, have they done anything else?
I think he's done like short films like on YouTube and stuff, but this is his first movie.
Let's see, Kyle Edward Ball. Okay, let's
which also since you mentioned it, I did write in my notes that even though I don't know why the movie is called Skinamarink, amazing name, super memorable. Very easy, like it's like the perfect name for a horror movie.
It actually is,
like,
yeah. I do commend it on the name because it makes you fucking talk about it.
Yeah,
it's like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah,
it's just a really good name. I think that was very smart to give it such an outlandish name.
Yeah, so looks like he's been the director on a short titled Heck and a music video called Craig Moreau, It Ain't Nothing. So far,
so this is his first feature.
Yeah, and honestly, regardless of how people feel about it, the fact that it's getting so much exposure and conversation is really all you can hope for with your first film. Like, I mean, good for him on that.
Yeah, I think it had like a $15,000 budget, and it's already made over $1 million, which is crazy. Like, I can't think of the last movie. The last movie that has done something like that is probably Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
And before that, Blair Witch Project.
I was gonna say Blair Witch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very rare thing to hit that. So that is pretty incredible.
Yeah, 15,000 box office, 2 million. Yeah, that's crazy. Holy shit, Kyle, you must be happy. So, apparently before this movie, this little Kyle lad had a YouTube channel where he'd upload videos that were kind of surrounded and based on nightmares, which I guess in a sense, like, he used this heavy influence for this movie because a lot of it kind of especially when you get through like the second leg of it, a lot of it is kind of like very nightmare inducing. But yeah, I kept hearing about this, and unfortunately I did not get to see this in theaters. I say unfortunately because in this day and age, a lot of the time I prefer the convenience of just being at home. But I do think that one thing about this film is you like really have to be immersed in it to give a shit. And I think watching it in a theater would almost like force you to have that experience. Like I watched it in my room. I had the lights off and I had watched it with some friends, but like I feel like if I was sitting in that theater seat, it would have maybe left more of an impact on me. Do you think you would feel the same?
Yeah, I also did not see it in a theater. I watched it at home, but yeah, it's definitely a movie where the more immersed you can get in it, the better your experience will be, because it really requires like you to really be in it to appreciate it. It's not a background movie by any means.
Yeah. So I think right off the bat, that's kind of what lost a star or two for me, and that's kind of like just my own doing, but that's just how I feel about it. And also, if you look away for a second, it's so ironic because for a film that doesn't do a whole lot plot wise, like you could just miss a lot looking away real quick. Cause like in the beginning, so basically to set the scene, like this happens in the mid 90s and involves these two young kids, Kevin and Kaylee, and Kevin injures himself. Like I think he falls down the stairs, right? Like he's sleepwalking and falls down the stairs. Yeah, and like I actually in the beginning I had looked away for a second. I had not realized what had actually happened, and I was like, "Wait, is he?" And then they finally say like, "Oh no!" And then they make the call. The dad like calls the hospital. And I was like, "Oh man, great start!" And honestly, a pretty brilliant start. Only because if you're really paying attention, the payoff is that like. Now you can start theory crafting on, did he die from this accident, or did he, or are these events really going on? But maybe he's like, he experienced brain trauma and things are not as they seem. So, it's kind of like keeping that in mind is actually an important element to, I guess, maybe like forming your own opinion on it. But yeah, so basically, night passes and the dad straight up disappears, and so do the windows and the doors. And the way they do this is so like it like almost pays homage to anything from like any film or show from back then, 60s, 70s, going into like that hybrid sci-fi territory, like almost kind of like a Twilight Zone thing, where it's just like now you see it, now you don't. This movie definitely utilizes cuts and quick cuts to its advantage and its detriment. I'll say, like, just to speak on that part briefly, one thing I did not love about the film is how much cutting away there was, only because it kind of took away from the tension. Which is in of its own right impressive in the regard that when I was watching this movie, and the way it was filmed, it was almost like it was filmed, by a fucking 5 or 6 year old living in the 90s, and the, kind of like invoking the terror of being in the night and kind of like being a little bit shaky, wandering it around. And so I would say in that regard, it was impressive in convincing me like it was in that time period. But at the same time, I think it was just a little too involved as far as like the editing process. And I also think that was partly because it seemed like Kyle was because I mean the whole film is experimental, but I think in literal terms it was him experimenting with what throwing shit at the wall, seeing what stuck, what didn't. And especially like, when we get a little bit further in the film and they want to go sleep downstairs because like they're scared and they don't know where their dad is, so he decided to put on cartoons. Which the fun part about this movie is they use all real cartoons like in the public domain. So they even use like a really old Looney Tunes cartoon, like even before Bugs was Bugs. Like when Bugs was supposed to be like Woody Woodpecker, like the formation of the Bugs right after that. I forget the name of the cartoon, but they use one of those. So it's kind of cool to see that in there because it made me feel more like, okay, I could believe this was in the 90s. But I think like just as an example, like when they keep looping the cartoons, like there's like 3 segments in the movie where they just continuously will loop that same scene in the Bugs cartoon, and it's I would say it's effective at first, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, it's creepy. Like lights go off, you only see the light of the fucking CRT, and it's looping. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Is it a demon? Is it like is someone in the house with them? But after a while, it just kind of like loses that effect. So I think in that regard, like I kind of hope that some of that experimentation was a little bit more cut down, let's say. I mean, I personally also think the film could have been cut by like a half hour. But
yeah, 100 minutes is a long time for this movie. Like, I would say that's probably one of my biggest complaints is the length, because it's not... I don't feel as though the movie justified its length. There's very clearly parts that can be cut out of this movie. Like, there's long sequences of nothing happening. If that cut down and like the rest of it had been condensed a little bit, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, the runtime definitely works against the movie in this one.
Yeah, it for sure was detrimental to its success.
Yeah.
But yeah, then just like the whole movie basically is just weird shit happens, and they cut to the kids, and like Kaylee and Kevin are kind of, there's kind of like a back and forth that happens throughout like the perspectives, and then that weird fucking voice is telling Kaylee to come upstairs. Yeah, so there's parts where I was like, okay, I didn't know what's gonna happen next. I'll say one thing that the movie does very well is its lack of predictability. Even though it is a slow burn, you legitimately weren't sure what was gonna happen next. So like when Kaylee's getting called out upstairs, like you don't know who that is. Like, is it her mother? Is it a demon? Whatever, because you don't have any idea of like who the antagonist is supposed to be in this movie.
Right.
I still don't even know who it is.
Yeah, and that's like my criticisms about the length have nothing to do with the story being a slow burn. It's that when I say there's sections where nothing's happening, I mean literally. There are sections where we're seeing shots of the wall for like way too long, and like I just think some of that stuff cut out could have really improved the movie. Like it gets grating towards the end. You know, I just wanted to clarify that I don't mind that it's a slow burn. I like a slow burn. It's just this one had like unnecessary padding in it, I felt.
Yeah, I agree. Like and it ties into like the whole experimental factor. It's like okay, I get it. Like, we're gonna look at some shots of like when they're playing with the Lego bricks, for example. It's like that's different because there's separate occasions where like they either start moving on their own, or Kaylee's playing with them, or you think like this demon's playing with them. So to focus on objects like that kind of makes sense. But I think I saw like I don't know how many times I saw like the same corner of the house, and I was just like, okay, You know what's funny about the shots of the Lego? I don't know if you saw this, but like Lego like fanatics online that saw this movie were able to like point out that there was a piece in the set of Lego that didn't exist in 1995. So they were like saying like, oh, this is not like there's a brick separator
that they didn't introduce until 2011, and people like saw it in the movie and were like, "That's not supposed to be there." I just thought that was so funny. Like people know the Lego pieces well enough to know like when it's not accurate.
I am impressed by that. It's a little obsessive, but I do enjoy when people do shit like that.
Yeah,
but,
there was that, and there was one other thing where there's a hockey jersey, and it's an Edmonton Oilers jersey, and it is like a shade of blue that they didn't use on the jersey until 1996. So it's just crazy, like the stuff that people can point out. Like those don't bother me. Obviously, I don't care about that kind of stuff, but it just is interesting to me that people are like so into those kind of things nowadays that they can look at something in a movie and be like, "Oh, that was not around in that time period." Like, that's crazy.
Not there.
Yeah,
it is impressive. People get a life. Anyway, I would say that there was like just way too many long shots like that. But so like after just staring at the wall for another half hour, you see another shot where like the voice is calling to Kevin and he wants to play whatever, and Kaylee ends up just like I forget, was it before or after where Kaylee like goes upstairs and sees the mom at the bed?
That's towards like the middle of the movie.
That's okay, yeah, because that, I would say that shot was probably
that whole.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that whole scene is fucking scary.
I was gonna say that is definitely like the most suspenseful part of this movie, because you're fully expecting a jump scare at this point, because they go in and it's like already the camera, the way it's like panning real slowly like down, like don't look under the fucking bed, Kaylee.
Yeah.
and the mom's like commanding her to do shit, and at this point you realize Kaylee's probably gonna die. Or something bad's gonna happen, and then what ends up happening is her eyes and mouth disappear, and then it basically turns into Kevin's perspective after that. But like I said, there's a lot. It's surprising because for a movie that's not so deep with its plot, you can miss a lot if you look away for a second, because there were things I definitely was like.
The things that do happen, like you said, they happen fast, and because of that, like it's in between a lot of slow burn. So when things do happen, if you miss those things, like you're missing the movie pretty much. Which is why, like we said, you have to really immerse yourself in this movie to enjoy it. Like lights off, headphones on if you're watching it like that, or like just like TV volume all the way up or whatever. But like you can't be watching this while scrolling Twitter or something. You're gonna miss the whole movie pretty much.
Yeah, you can't be dropping on Fortnite.
No, unfortunately. When will they add a Skinamarink skin?
They probably will. Yeah. So after all that happens, Kevin tries to call 911, and this scene was really cool too, because like the operator speaking to him, and he can't really like elaborate too much because he's like whispering, because like he was like cut with a knife after this, and he doesn't know, like the demon's probably listening to him, and again that's another scene like that was done pretty well, that's where the real payoff is like when something's actually happening, you can put the camera against the wall all you want, as long as I hear like some voices, like in this instance where it's like with the operator calling on the phone. It's like, okay, that's kind of terrifying, because I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But yeah, I just don't need to see like the back of the kitchen every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's why it's like take all those good scenes where stuff's happening, squeeze them a little closer together, and cut out the excess 30 minutes of this movie, and I just think it's so much better.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I'm not not that I'm an expert filmmaker or anything, but it is his first movie, so I gotta cut a little bit of slack on that,
Oh yeah, because like I said, there were parts of this movie I really enjoyed, but
definitely.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some maniac has already cut together like a straightforward cut of the film.
Yeah, that if not already, that will definitely happen, like a fan edit or something, which I would be curious to see, because I bet you cutting it all down, you could probably get this movie to be under an hour if you really like edited it, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely do like 50 minutes. I would think.
And I like, as far as still staying on like what I did like, I don't want to talk about what I didn't like yet, but like there's a lot of hints of stuff that I really liked that I hope to see like expanded upon as this director like makes more movies. You know what I mean? Like the ideas that are there are really good and they're really interesting and pretty unique, but it's just like, I don't know, this movie just didn't like deliver it the way that I wanted. Like I really like, especially not to jump forward too much, but how it plays with like time and like it shows those like timestamps of like day whatever towards the end. Like that I thought was really cool. That was something kind of unique. Like basically the whole movie being about your mind playing tricks on you and shadows and darkness and was really cool. I liked that a lot. It's just a lot of padding in between those parts.
Lot of padding, yeah. It's like you said, like, so the ideas and concepts are cool, and especially for like analog horror, but like just once they get fleshed out more, like I'm sure this dude, I could see this guy like really being a success, like definitely, like with his next movie or two. So
it is funny, like you mentioned analog horror, like this is really the first analog horror movie that I've seen, you know, like and that is as a distinction between analog horror and found footage, because this is not a found footage movie, but it's very much an analog horror feeling movie, which it's hard to distinguish between those two things, but this one I think is a really good example of analog horror, which is really big right now, especially on like YouTube and stuff.
Oh, huge. I mean, I love I guess it like in a similar way. I love those the TikToks we send each other.
Oh yeah,
girl who I
want to see that Moon.
Shit. Yeah, I want to see.
I fucking love her TikToks.
I want to see that shit. I want to see.
I would watch a whole movie of that.
Yeah, right. It's like Night Trap. It's like you kind of. It's like you'll have your pre-rendered footage, and then you'll kind of have like the scenes that just like stop and go. It's like very cut and paste.
Yeah, what we're talking about is basically like there's this girl on TikTok. Her name's Molly Moon, and she does these videos that are like kind of like old school like point and click PC games, but like they're really weird and like surreal, and like she like matches the quality to those kind of. They're just like so unique. I love every time that she uploads a video. I'm excited because they're so out there and weird, and I have not seen anything else like them.
They're so fucking cool.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's that similar kind of feeling where it's just like very analog, very feels like something old school and retro without being like the Stranger Things style of retro that's all like, you know, synth music and neon and 80s and stuff. This feels like you found an old VHS tape at like a garage sale and just like didn't know it was on it, and this is what you got. Like that's the kind of horror that it is, which I wonder if we'll see more of that after this is huge success of this movie.
Yeah, oh yeah, I have no doubt we're gonna see all that, and it's gonna take off just like these public domain characters getting horror of film adaptations like that. That's the trend. That's the trend now. Did you? I was gonna say, did you see the Winnie the Pooh one? But I doubt.
No, I didn't even know it came out yet.
Yeah,
I'll watch it out of morbid curiosity, but I'm not like excited for it.
No, and honestly, it's funny watching people review films like that, because it's like, bro, like, you know, it's dumb. Stop being so critical about it. It's like, what did you expect?
Yeah, if I do see it, it's not going to be with, you know, my critic's hat on, like trying to analyze the movie. Like, it's going to be similar to the way I watched Plane, which was, it's a fucking action movie called Plane.
Right.
You know,
it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
But so back to Skinamarink. So Kevin is on the phone with the operator, and then he's whispering, and so there's this weird guy downstairs, and phone just drops, and that's and then the phone turns into, which is probably the most horrific imagery in the film, turns into the fucking phone toy, the one that everyone had in their home in the 90s. Which
is funny that is going to be like the iconic thing from this movie, is going to be that phone.
It's I mean, I think fucking everyone had that thing. It was it's like there's a few staples, and if you were I hate to fucking say this, if you were a 90s kid, but it's true, like there was a few things that were always in the house: the chatter telephone, the yellow little Tykes chair, and like the fucking you know the thing where you just push it around the ball with the balls in it?
The popper thing.
The popper, like those are the three things you had in your house. But so I appreciate, like, because it did actually, like, the biggest thing I did enjoy is it really did make me feel like I was in a house in the 90s. Like it was very effective at that. So and then seeing that goddamn horrific telephone's face saying I could do anything, like, bro. No, don't do that. That's you're a fucking weird phone. But again, it's cool because it plays more into like the ambiguity of what is this thing? Like, is it a demon? Like, is the house haunted?
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's hard to call this like a haunted house movie, because like it is technically kids in a house with some kind of supernatural entity, terrifying them, but it's like it's so ambiguous what they're dealing with that it's like, is it a haunted house movie? Is it a dream sequence? Is it something totally else? Like I liked that ambiguity in it, that you're kind of just not really sure what this thing is. And I do also like that, as ambiguous as what they're dealing with is, they don't leave it like, I've said it before, like I like movies that commit to the bit. And I like that this movie commits to it being some kind of like evil entity. It's not like doesn't show it the whole time and like only hints that anything's going on. Like I like that we understand that they are dealing with some kind of outside entity in this movie. It's not that ambiguous to the point where it's you don't even know if this is a horror movie. Like I liked that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. It's true. I agree completely.
Yeah, like there is an antagonist in this movie, which I like.
Yeah.
What it is, I don't know, but I like that it's present.
Well, all I know is it gets pissed when it is not obeyed, because that's the reason it took away Kaylee's mouth, because she's like, like any young girl's like, I want my parents. It's like, no, I'm going to take away your mouth instead. It's a reasonable compromise, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So Kevin walks into a room that becomes a void, and this is just where the movie goes like batshit crazy with its like imagery and I guess symbolism, and it's just like you don't really know what the fuck's going on anymore. Like this is where it's like you said. Now after this, it's like they start showing the timestamps and how much time has passed,
which I really like that stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. And, I'll say, like, parts of that last sequence were effective for me. Like seeing the photos of the people with, like, the missing faces and whatever. But, man, I felt like the movie was going to end 20 times.
Yeah,
like it dragged on.
Yeah, it has a bunch of moments where you're like, oh, is this the end? And then it's like, oh, no, it's not.
Yeah, so, and that's what I meant earlier is like, he threw a lot at the wall and a bunch of it stuck. But then it's just like, I mean, how many times are we gonna see the same pictures, Yeah,
and that's why I said, like, it is his first movie, and like it's a $15,000 budget, so it's not like there's a big studio with like, a bunch of people editing and rewriting and so
sure.
I feel like, which I'm sure will be the case, like this guy's going to go on to make some kind of studio movie, because this was such a success that people are going to want him they're going to want the director of this movie working on the project. So I'm curious to see what he does with a more refined movie. This is a rough movie the same way, like I said, Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch, like it's very much an indie movie like that. And I would be curious to see what he does next, since I didn't love this one like I do Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch, and I think that having someone else to kind of like rein in the ideas would help. So I'm interested to see what that will look like in the future.
I just hope he gets Adam Sandler for his next movie.
They should have had him do the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Oh my god! Well, honestly, I mean, he would probably be a good choice for that.
You're not wrong. Yeah, and like I said, I'm very curious to see what effect this has on horror cinema, because like the other two movies that I keep comparing it to they spawned so many imitations after their success. Like Blair Witch basically like exploded the found footage genre, and then it kind of died down a little bit, and then Paranormal Activity did it again, and like it exploded like the found footage genre and kind of like the paranormal supernatural ghost genre in many ways. So like I'm curious to see what this movie will influence, because it's probably the horror movie I've seen the most people talking about in a long time.
In a while,
good
yeah.
or bad. Yeah. I haven't seen this much buzz around a horror movie in a really long time.
Since Freddy got fingered, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole ending sequence, like, albeit long, was pretty cool. Like I like watching all the blood splatter on the floor, and kind of like the panning back and forth, and a lot of the experimentation with like I guess depth of field, like going in and out of the hall and shit. So and then finally he Kevin wants to, I mean rightfully so, I think he deserves to watch something happy. And then a door just appears with an indistinct face, and then the face tells Kevin to go to sleep. Kevin asks for its name, and obviously it does not respond. And then that's pretty much the end of the film, and then you're just kind of left questioning, like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, I still have no idea what really truly went on. But I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But so what do you think happened? Like, what do you think the monster was? What do you think is going on with the house? I'm curious. I think
I don't have like a concrete theory. I definitely think that looking at this movie as almost like a prolonged nightmare or dream sequence is the right mindset to like enjoy it, because it's like we said, it doesn't really have a beat for beat plot, so it's very much just like kind of moving through the environment and like the events that are happening to the kids, and like the atmosphere is very important. So like I saw a lot of people online saying that it feels like waking up in the middle of the night and like having to like walk down a dark hallway to a bathroom, and like the fear that you feel then is kind of like what the movie is trying to capture. So yeah, I mean, I'm like you said, I'm sure we'll see theories about like, did Kevin die when he fell, and like, is that what we're seeing, or did he, get knocked unconscious and that's what we're seeing, or like, things like that. I think it'll be interesting to read all the theories about it, because it leaves so much up to interpretation that I'm interested to see what people come up with.
Yeah, my personal theory is it's kind of a blend. Is like you said, kind of going into it with the idea that is just like this nightmare fueled night. I think there's kind of an in between of like that, and maybe he was knocked unconscious or is slowly slipping from life. Because especially like with the way that things progress through the movie, like at first it's very it's very coherent the way that, Kevin's with Kaylee, they're in their safe space together watching cartoons. Then there's slowly losing the grip of reality. This thing appears first as just a voice, then it makes itself known, and it starts playing with them. And then and the way that some of the shots are could almost make me feel like this is deliberate, especially when crafting a theory like this. Psychologically speaking, when you're seeing things that you can't quite touch, they're there, it's kind of leading me to believe that things are slipping from your grasp, and I think that could be one message trying to be taken away from the film. But the fun with an ending like that is we could fucking have that conversation all day long, and we will never really know.
Yeah, which I like when a movie is like that.
Yeah, but primarily I think that it accomplished its goal of recreating and invoking childhood fear. Like, I think that was the biggest point, and to me, it did that successfully. So, with the gripes I personally have, I'm just happy it did that well, So
yeah.
I actually wanted to go through. There's not a whole lot, but I kind of want to go through some trivia. The movie. Let's see. In an interview, Kyle Edward Ball stated that he spelled the movie's name slightly differently than the song the movie's named after. Oh, it's named after a song. So
it's from like an old show or something.
So kids wouldn't accidentally find his movie when searching for the song. That's that's fair. Due to a glitch on one of the online film festival screenings, the movie was downloadable and spread like crazy, causing it to go viral on many social media sites such as TikTok and YouTube ahead of its official release. I did not know that. That's interesting.
I didn't know that that's why, but that was like I heard about it through like TikTok and Twitter and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Just because like it had so much buzz before it even came out, and it was like, how the hell are all these people watching this movie? And obviously that's how.
that's how. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said with the name, I think it's such a good name. Like it's good too, even like to think about it a little bit deeper than it just being memorable. It's a good name because it is childish and it does come from like a child's like show or children's show or whatever, and a song. But at the same time, it's like it's a weird word too. You know what I mean? Like it's a perfect blend of like being kind of weird, but also being like child friendly. I don't know. I just think it's such a good name. Like I love the name.
Yeah, it definitely it has a lot packed into it, I think. And reading about that, it was a preschool sing-along song, kind of like even enhances the terror factor of it.
Plus, I love all the memes using it as like a verb. Did you send me someone sent me the Joe Biden gets Skinamarink. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff is fucking hilarious, and will keep people talking about the movie for a long time.
Love it. The final fact here, though, which I love, the director said that the two child actors really originally had a line with some swearing. They were trying to record this dialogue, and the boy didn't feel comfortable saying it, and the girl kept laughing. And it took 8 minutes to record it, and then they just removed it from the movie.
That's pretty funny.
So I wonder like what the line even was.
Said, "Fuck you, Skinamarink."
Yeah, fuck you, the monster from Skinamarink. Another quick interesting thing that I'm just seeing now. So not including the dialogue of any of the cartoon characters you see on TV, there's only like 500 words of dialogue in this whole movie. Which that doesn't
surprise me. Yeah.
I mean, considering that we see the wall all the time, it's not surprising.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, so much of what I didn't like about the movie boiled down to just the length and the really, really slow sequences where you're just really not seeing anything happen.
Yeah.
So it's like I get it. I get what you're going for as far as setting the atmosphere with that kind of stuff, but there's definitely a line where it reaches where it's just a little bit too much of that and not enough movie. You know, like there's too many still shots, and like I just want a little bit more out of that.
Yep, I agree. But overall, I think it was effective in building its atmosphere and just the ambiguity of it, and being immersed in this really weird house in 1995. POV, you're a kid, and you're absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Really, it's again, it's kind of harsh for me to like critique it too heavily because of like it's his first movie and a lot of good ideas were there. But yeah, it'll be interesting what happens in the future with movies like this.
Yeah, I also like I've been trying not to like say too many negative things about it online, because like I do like that this movie is popular, and it's cool that it, like, an experimental horror movie is getting this kind of buzz. And like I said, I haven't seen something like this since probably Paranormal Activity. So even if the movie didn't like necessarily do it for me, I can't like hate on it too much. You know, like it's not a movie where I didn't like it and I'm like, this is absolute trash and everybody who likes it is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm not going to say anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I do see there are things I like there are things that I do like about it. It's just, do I see myself ever watching it again? Probably not. But I enjoy the story of the movie and it being as popular as it is and making all this money. Like, it's a good thing for the genre. You know, it's a good thing for movies in general, for an indie movie to blow up like this. It happens so rarely.
Yeah, it is just good. I mean, we've said this a lot, but I'm just glad that like all these whether indie or not, all these horror films are making their way into the conversation like hardcore. And
yeah,
it's getting even more eyes from people in the industry on it. And they're like, huh, maybe we were wrong, and we'll throw more money at good projects. So
yeah, and it's interesting too. Like, this is the first movie like this that's an indie movie that I've seen have like so much success through like TikTok in particular. Like, obviously that is the social media site now, and like movies have always gained a lot of hype through like Twitter and stuff, but I feel like TikTok was where this movie really found its audience, and it's the first time I can really think of that happening, which is very interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially how big the platform is. It's like, that's moving forward. That's just going to be like status quo, you know?
Yeah. This is the first one, but there will be more.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's everything I thought about the movie. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I think we covered it all pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie.
Yeah. So I would
a
say
lot of atmosphere.
Yeah, so I would say for everyone who wants to watch it, aside from having the entire plot blown for you, go. I mean, it's not really a plot. Yeah, I was gonna say, but I would say just make sure you're alone, or even if you're with someone, make sure lights are down. Fucking put your phone away and like really try to be
immersed yourself. Yeah, as much as you can.
I gotta be that guy. Immerse yourself, man, because like
no, but it is true.
But the payoff will be greater that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were just up marinking our skina for quite a while, but that's gonna be the end for the Fiends. This has been the Silver Screen Fiends podcast, and I've been Sam,
and I've been Blake.
And tune in next week where we drop the should we reveal it right now? Should we drop the debut news of Norbit 2? We were getting
if only.
Oh fuck.
Skinamarink 2 Norbit.
Skinamarink 2 Norbit time.
Skinamarink versus Norbit. Rasputia, I can't find any of the doors.
I took away the damn door. We need to make this happen. I mean, listen, if he could do this on a budget of 15,000, I mean, the most we'd have to pay for is Eddie Murphy's budget, which is like, I don't know what he'd probably do it for like $100,000. I'm sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which we have at the ready.
Which we have. I mean, I would fucking go into bankruptcy to get Eddie Murphy and Norbit
to
too.
make Skinamarink versus Norbit.
Yeah, it would be fucking great. But anyway, that's gonna be it from us, and we hope you have a good morning, evening, night, whatever, wherever you are, whoever you are. We don't care. We like you. I said it. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand.
I am afraid. I won't say it, just in case.
Bye-bye.